and this weekend is the big push for both presidential candidates. Already some 80 million voters have made their mark in early in-person voting, all via mail-in ballots. But there's growing concern that this hotly contested vote could get ugly, really ugly. Walmart has removed guns and ammo for sale from all its retail stores across the USA due to fears of civil unrest. Let's get your latest news from our Washington correspondent, Simon Marks. Hi there, Simon. So just how big is this civil unrest threat?
Look, I mean, I think that there are growing concerns here about what happens if we don't, in time-honoured fashion, have a result to this election, Sally, by the time everybody in South Africa, wakes up on Wednesday. It is perfectly possible that this election is going to be drawn out, that it will be legally contested, and that there could be expressions of anger and anxiety on the streets of major American cities by supporters of both sides. So this move by Walmart, absolutely an eyebrow-raising moment. I mean, to think that we're talking about the United States of America and its largest retailer deciding to remove guns and ammunition from public display at the end of what we know has been a surge in gun sales over the last few weeks all over the United States, feeds into the storyline that we're also learning about growing public anxiety all over the country, more depression being reported by voters and citizens as they await the outcome of a very, very stressful political process. I can tell you here in Washington, they are boarding up all the shops and the office buildings in the centre of the city. Our own office building was encased with wooden hoarding, boarding again this morning in New York, Fifth Avenue, the shops there throughout New York City, they're all being boarded up. There are definite anxieties about the days that lie ahead here.
And then, of course, this weekend is the last big push. Election campaigns going into high gear. Obama is going to join Biden for the Democrats. What's Trump doing?
Donald Trump is beginning right now a blitz of the battleground states. He has just left the White House. He's heading today to Michigan, Minnesota and Wisconsin. Joe Biden today is in Wisconsin, Minnesota and Iowa. So they're both engaged in the sort of traditional hell for leather race to the finish line. But they're also both very well aware that already more than 80 million people have voted in this election. Now, if you put those numbers into context, we think we're heading towards record turnout of maybe 150, 155 million Americans. But that still means that more than half those voters who are going to participate in this election have already cast their ballots. And obviously there's going to be a very busy weekend of voting ahead, then again on Monday, before what is officially Election Day dawns on Tuesday morning. I mean, I was thinking today it's almost more accurate, I think, to say that the people, the stragglers who show up on Tuesday, are really participating in late voting rather than talking about all the early voting that has already taken place here.
Yeah, you're quite right. Simon, any idea of how close it's going to be? You know that Biden has looked fairly well ahead in most of the polls, but we also know it is extremely unusual for a president not to get a second term. So how close is this race going to be?
Well, I mean, I think it could be close in the Electoral College, and that's the problem, right? It's not going to be close in terms of the popular vote. Joe Biden, like Hillary Clinton before him, will be several million votes, I suspect, ahead of Donald Trump by the time this is all over. But it's all about the Electoral College. If Donald Trump manages to eke out a victory, as looks possible, in Florida, that's a setback for Joe Biden. He'd have to look at other states to help put him over the top in the Electoral College. And that's why this is very uncertain in the last days of this campaign. I mean, you look at the polls, you look at the numbers, and you're absolutely right. It would be reasonable under normal circumstances to conclude that Joe Biden is on the brink of an historic victory, not just winning the presidency, but Democrats also taking control of the US Senate and extending their majority in the House of Representatives. You look at the numbers and you say it's going to be a Democrat clean sweep. But we all lived through 2016 when Hillary Clinton won more votes but she won them in the wrong states. And Joe Biden's got to try and avoid that, and Donald Trump is going to try and head him off, and also clearly is threatening the prospect of litigation if we don't wake up. You don't wake up in South Africa on Wednesday morning to discover that we here are reporting a clear outcome of this race.
And Simon, very briefly, because we're all going to want to know about this, and we learnt about it last election, the popular vote and the Electoral College. So I'm not going to attempt to explain it. You're going to quickly tell us how it works.
Well, I mean, it chills the blood of foreign correspondents every 4 years when they have to explain this. But the Electoral College is the middleman between the voters and the presidency. And basically, the Electoral College consists of 538 delegates. They are sent from all 50 states. The number of delegates each state gets depends on the size of its congressional delegation, which in turn depends upon the size of its population. So California, biggest prize of the night, more than 50 delegates in the Electoral College. Florida, populous state, 29 votes in the Electoral College. That's a tenth of the votes that a candidate needs in the college to become President of the United States. But that's why the maths here and the map turn out to be the critical factor in an American election, not the number of votes that one candidate gets nationally versus the number of votes that another candidate gets. It's a funny way to run a democracy.
The maths and the map, and you could not have explained it better. Thank you very much. That's our Washington correspondent, Simon Marks.